their partners, TTEC. They're going to talk about remote career opportunities at their company and give you all sorts of really good insights and details. And I'm going to let them introduce themselves in just a minute. I just wanted to go over a couple housekeeping notes. So this is going to be a 60-minute webinar. And during that webinar, you'll be able to use the Zoom Q&A function to ask any questions that you might have of our two representatives today, Stacy and Whitney. And if you have any technical difficulties or anything like that, you can also use the Zoom chat area to ask about those. But for the most part, we'll be doing Q&A through that Zoom Q&A area. This webinar will be recorded, and you'll all receive an email tomorrow with a link to view that recording. So if you wanted to review it, or you had to leave early today, or you're just want a copy to take a look at, you'll be able to get that tomorrow. At the end of the webinar, I am going to talk a little bit about a special FlexJobs deal, and we will also have a quick pop-up survey that we would love for you to take. It's very quick. I think it's about 4 or 5 questions, nothing too extensive, but that really does help us with our planning of the webinars and making sure that we are bringing good information to you all. And then, like I said, this is being recorded, so there will be an email tomorrow with a recording that you can view. All right, so let me talk just a little bit about FlexJobs. For anybody who's not familiar, we are a job search website that specializes in flexible and remote jobs, which is why we host webinars just like this with great employers who are super supportive of remote work and flexible work. We also post freelance and temporary types of jobs, part-time and full-time, and jobs with flexible schedules. So essentially any job that has some kind of flexibility component is what you would find on FlexJobs. We have helped almost 4 million job seekers since we were founded in 2007, and we are a membership website, which means that job seekers pay a small subscription fee to get access to all of our listings. They're pre-screened, they're all legitimate professional level jobs from really good quality employers, and we weed out all the scams, and there's no ads, there's no commission-only jobs. It's a really good, clean database of the best flexible and remote jobs out there. And we also have over 50,000 companies that we have screened over the years. And this is a portion of the site that you can access for free if you ever wanted to do some company research. And it will tell you the job posting histories of those companies, the type of flexibility that they offer, and some other really helpful details about those companies. So that's just a little bit about FlexJobs for anybody who was unfamiliar, who wanted to know a little bit more. But now I want to turn it over to today's panelists, Stacy and Whitney at TTEC. Thank you, ladies, for being here.
Thank you so much for having us. We are really excited to be here. I'll go ahead and introduce myself, and I'll start. Hopefully you guys can recognize me from my picture. I've got purple hair. I'm the Director of Talent Acquisition for TTEC Work From Home. I actually started with TTEC last year. It'll be a year at the first week of April. I've been in talent acquisition for my entire career. 13 years. I started off as a contract recruiter for another remote work company, and I worked my way up, and I've had a variety of roles. And now I am here as a director, and I love my job. We help people just like you guys find remote work opportunities that are going to be a really great fit for you at TTEC.
So I'm Whitney. I work directly for Stacy. I'm the senior manager for talent acquisition, which is a fancy way of saying recruiting, for TTEC. And I've been with the company for 15 years. I started out as an agent on the phones, taking calls, tracking packages, doing all kinds of stuff for one of our clients. And I worked my way up through the operations side, which is the delivery side. I was a floor walker where I answered people's questions when they had trouble. I was a supervisor, and then an assistant manager, a training manager, and an operations manager, and then I found my fit in talent acquisition. So I have been working in talent acquisition since 2009, and I haven't looked back. I absolutely love it. I love talking to people like you, helping people get new jobs, finding their career path, and hopefully making them feel as successful as I do. So thank you for your time today.
So we're going to talk about a lot of different areas around TTEC specifically and working from home. So you guys already heard a little bit about us, and we're going to tell you a little bit about TTEC. We're going to then share with you a little bit more about the opportunities that we have available now and in the future later this year. After that, we're going to talk to you guys a little bit about what it takes to be successful at TTEC, because you'll see there'll be a lot of overlap between TTEC's qualities for success versus some other remote work areas to be successful. We're then going to talk a little bit about what are the requirements to work from home, because for us, it's very specific. For TTEC, it's very specific. But for other companies, they may have very different requirements on working from home. Then we're going to talk a little bit about our company culture, and we're going to talk about some more career opportunities we've got, and then what differentiates TTEC in the market from other work from home customer service type of opportunities. We'll then talk about how to apply, and then we'll dive into a question and answer session.
So what we do, what does TTEC do? We take care of a multitude of different customers, and we help them deliver support for their customers. So we take our technology and our clients and our clients' customers, and we bring them together to make sure that they are taken care of and they're satisfied and that everything that they need is taken care of. Something that TTEC really prides ourselves on is our company values. And these company values I really appreciate because it's almost like common sense. It's things that you do in your everyday life. It's not some far-fetched, reach for the sky kind of thing. It's, typical. Lead every day. Be a leader. Be someone that people looks up to. Do the right thing. Well, I hope everyone's doing the right thing every day. Reaching for amazing, pushing yourself to achieve things that, you have a personal goal towards, or things that you never thought you'd be able to do. Seeking first to understand, taking a step back before reacting, and making sure that you understand the whole picture and that you see all sides of an issue or a problem or a challenge before just diving in head first. And tying right into that, acting as one. So working together as a team and bringing everyone in to be able to live all these values and work together and achieve those goals. And living life passionately, striving for amazing. It all ties back into each other. So it's really great to work for a company that has those type of values.
And this is the first company I've worked for that's truly lived their values. And so I just want to reiterate too what Whitney said, that we really do try and fold those values into everyday interactions. And so with that, the slide you guys see on your screen shares with you the states in the United States that we employ remote workers in. And there's a variety of reasons for this, but the biggest reason stems from the availability of opportunities that our clients want to offer. So our clients want to focus their employee base in where they themselves are located. So we really try to recruit and employ people who live not necessarily near, but maybe have heard of the company that they're supporting. And really, you also will notice that with the exception of California, if you guys are at all familiar with the population of the United States, the greatest majority of people really do live in the southeastern portion of the US. So Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, the Carolinas. I personally am located outside of the southeast part of the United States, but Whitney's located a little further north on the East Coast. So that's the primary reason that we only employ in specific states in the US. So they're listed here. They were also at the very beginning before we began our webinar. They're listed on our website, and we'll go into those a little bit later at the very end. When you apply, you'll also be able to see this list of states that we employ in. So if you are not currently residing in one of the states that are in dark blue, you are very much welcome to stay and listen a little bit more about what remote work entails specifically for TTEC, but we completely understand if you live in California, that we might not be the right fit for you.
So the opportunities that we're looking for currently, we are about to dive into our licensed healthcare season. So we're looking for licensed healthcare insurance agents. We're always looking for customer service representatives. If you love customer service, if that's something that you're talented at, if that's something that you're passionate about, we are always looking for those customer service representatives, and we're always looking for sales associates. So I know it takes a special person for each one of these lines of business, and we would love it if you have that passion and would love to come and work for us. We are also always looking for the bilingual capabilities. For the most part right now, we're looking for Spanish, but we always have those niche opportunities where if you speak a different language, that, you know, it's definitely possible that we could utilize those skills as well.
So these are the 3 areas that we target, that we look for when we say what's the ideal person we're looking for. The first requirement that we have is at least a high school diploma or equivalent. That's driven mostly by our clients. We also ideally would like for you to have 6 months or more of customer service experience, but we also know that that can take a lot of forms. There might be a lot of you guys out there who maybe didn't have customer service as a direct job title, but maybe you're in transition, you're looking for a new career, but you interacted with people all day, every day at your last, employment opportunity, and you really think that those skills could translate well into a remote opportunity with TTEC. It doesn't have to be a direct customer service experience title role. And then another requirement, if you are looking for a licensed healthcare insurance sales role, we are actively recruiting for people who are currently licensed to sell healthcare insurance in their current state. As far as skills, again, similar to what I talked about as far as customer service experience, again, it might not be a direct customer service role, but resiliency, technical ability, customer service, tech savvy. What I mean when I say that is you already know how to, if your internet goes down, what's the first thing that you do? If your computer doesn't boot up, what's the first thing that you would try? We look for people who have just kind of a basic technical understanding of how a computer works, how to get their home office set up, and really make that a seamless experience. You end up being a lot more successful if you've already kind of got that tech savvy capability. And then, of course, for licensed healthcare roles, a current active license to sell healthcare. And then last but not least, drive, the ability to work independently. At the end of the day, you're going to be taking calls from customers on your own. And you have to be self-motivated and be able to solve problems and have discipline, because the type of positions that we have, you sit at your desk and you talk to customers all day, every day. And you have some interaction with your team and your team lead. And we work really hard to foster a really exciting environment where we keep you engaged, because when you can't see someone face to face, we want to make sure that you stay engaged and excited about the opportunity to come and work every day. And so those are kind of the big buckets that everything falls into as far as what we look for. So the basic requirements to work from home, specifically for TTEC, you'll see the big things highlighted in orange. A telephone to contact you. It doesn't have to be a landline. It can be a cell phone, but we just need a method to get in touch with you. The second thing you're going to need is a computer. It doesn't necessarily have to be dedicated to work. You can maybe share it with your family, but we do ask that it meets our minimum specifications, which we'll go into a little bit later. The other two physical things you're going to need are a USB headset and a USB drive to access our systems. Specific models of those USB drives and recommended headsets will be provided if you're hired. And then last but not least, a quiet place to work. So I don't know if you can see in the background of my video, but I'm actually in my bedroom with the door that closes, and it's separate away from any background noise as someone comes to knock on my door. So we really, require you to have a quiet place to work. It doesn't have to necessarily have a closed door or what have you. So those are kind of the big things. Telephone to get in touch with you, your own computer, a headset, a USB drive, and a quiet place to work. Those are kind of the big things.
So TTEC culture, I mean, we talked about it a little bit before with the values. We're a very progressive company. It's very fast-paced, very inclusive, and we're looking to make sure that our agents that come and work for us and our employees that come and work for us have the opportunity to grow. And I mean, I don't know if anybody actually read the bio on my slide, but I'm kind of a living, breathing example of that. You know, I came in as an agent just looking for a job, and I ended up with a career 15 years later, and I wouldn't give it up for anything. So I didn't have any clue that I belonged in human resources or human capital or talent acquisition until someone believed in me and saw my potential, and that was all because of the culture that TTEC fosters. So, you know, there's just the diverse opportunities that are available within our company is absolutely amazing.
So some of the benefits of working from home, you guys are here because you're interested in remote work. So some of the, to kind of highlight what Whitney said, we have a really huge opportunity for growth. All of our leadership positions above the agent level, we promote from within. So yes, a lot of the positions we have, not all of them, but a lot of them are more entry-level customer service type of roles. We do have some specialized roles, like I mentioned, the licensed healthcare sales. We've also got some direct high-end sales positions and then some tech support positions. But at the end of the day, any opportunity you take with TTEC as an agent, you're going to get that opportunity for growth. We see on average about 3,000 internal promotions happen each year. And that is huge. And it really is one of the greatest things about working for TTEC. And I mentioned earlier about keeping you engaged and making sure that you are, still aware every day that you have a team that's there to support you. You've got your coworkers. You might not have a physical water cooler to go talk to them around, but you're going to have chat rooms and resources and tools and all sorts of really great things to keep a fun and supportive work environment. Casual attire. You could show up to work in pajamas every day if that's what you wanted to do. Me personally, I wear yoga pants to work every day. And the other thing too, I don't have a commute. Where I'm located, we've got very, very heavy traffic, and commuting really can take anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour each way. And that's 2 hours that I get to save myself to either, spend with my family or, take care of myself. So to me, those are some of the really great reasons why TTEC at Home is such a great place to work. And really why remote work in general is something that is really, really exciting. And there's so many opportunities here.
So the next step is how to apply. I mean, if you're interested in our company, we do have a link with FlexJobs that you can definitely follow. That'll tell us where you came from, how you got to us, and we're excited to learn more about your interest in TTEC.
So before we kind of open it up to questions, I kind of want to talk to you guys a little bit more about, how TTEC is different from other employers in the work at home customer service space. So I have worked for a couple of other companies that do what TTEC does. And, I mentioned this before, but I really want to reiterate it, that we really do live our values. And, when I first started with the company, I had to take a course that really asked me, real life scenarios that said, hey, if this were you and you were in this person's shoes, what would you do? And every example it gave that was the correct choice, really aligned to our values. The values hang in our corporate office. They end our email signatures. They're part of the training you go through as a new hire. There is a huge, huge, huge emphasis on on all of our employees living the values. That's the first thing I wanted to kind of reiterate. The second thing I wanted to share with you is the opportunity for growth, because I don't think that people really truly understand what opportunities are available. Because even though, when you hear, you know, 6 months of customer service experience, you think, oh, well, that's kind of an entry-level position. Well, it is and it isn't. And the reason I say that is because if you've ever worked in customer service, there's nothing really entry-level about it. You have to use your empathy and your resilience and your life experience to really help your customers. There's no entry level about it, right? Customer service, I truly believe, is one of the most challenging, rewarding types of roles you could ever have in your whole life. And TTEC, in my opinion, provides the greatest opportunity to be successful. We've got the tools, the technology, the leadership, the framework, the promotional, you know, capability, all of these things that I think a lot of other remote customer service companies want to offer, and they say that they offer. But I've worked for some of those companies, and I've seen that, you know, they might say it, but when it comes down to the nuts and bolts, they're kind of like, well, you know, kind of, but you got to go this way, and there's not really a system set up. At TTEC, there are systems and policies and processes that exist today, that have existed for years, that speak to how you, as you know, wherever you start within TTEC, can get promoted and what you can do to grow your career here. And there's training courses and certifications and all of these things that you can do to not only just grow your career with TTEC, but grow your career outside of TTEC. And to me, that's what makes, you know, another big differentiation for us.
All right. Well, that was a great overview. Really good information. Thank you, Stacy and Whitney. And now I want to open it up to the audience for questions. As long as that's good with you guys. Is that all right?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, so let's get to the questions slide, and now we'll open it up. So it looks like we have a lot of questions coming in. So we'll start answering these, but then please feel free to type in whatever questions you have in that Zoom Q&A area, and we will get to as many as we can. Okay, so let's see. Oh, someone's asking about training. How long is the training period? What's it like? If you have any more details about the training. And also, what sorts of employers are they, or I should say clients, are they paired with? And how does that work? Are they always working directly with TTEC, or would they be working directly with the clients? If you could talk a little bit more about that, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So all of our training is done remote, very similar to what we're doing right now, honestly. We do it all via Zoom, so you're already familiar with how to use that. We do use our webcam sometimes to train so that you can see everyone in your class. Not all the time. Sometimes it happens. And we deliver your information and your training over the web. So you don't have to go anywhere for training. You don't have to drive to a site or go anywhere specifically except your quiet workspace. And then we also do, it's a learning process where you're actually in the process that the client has set up. So you're working in their systems and you're taking sort of mock calls to try and get the feel for how it's going to be when you're actually on the phones. So as for, are you working for TTEC, or are you working for the client? It does seem a little bit that you're working for both. You'll always be a TTEC employee. So when you work for us, you are a TTEC employee, but you will be handling that client's calls. So you'll be supporting them and sort of like a proxy, if you will. So if I'm working for FlexJobs through TTEC, I'll be answering on behalf of FlexJobs, if that makes any sense. As for the training duration, it really depends on the client, and it depends on the program that you're going to be working on, of how long the training lasts. It's anywhere from a week to 4 weeks, just depending upon the content for that particular line of business.
All right, that makes great sense. Thank you, Whitney. And let's see. Oh, people are asking about the different pay ranges for these types of jobs, the hourly or salary types of pay, and also full-time versus part-time. Do you offer both? Or is it one or the other? What are the hours like?
Yeah, so I'll take that one. So depending on the type of role, the pay rate varies. So our sales positions are going to be the higher paying positions because they require a different skill set than our more entry-level positions. So most of our positions start out anywhere from $10.50 to $11.50 an hour, and then the sales positions will start several dollars an hour higher than that. It's all hourly. You are an employee of TTEC. You are not a contractor. And, you know, I think that was the main question, right? Was the pay rate, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then also, as kind of a follow-up for that, full-time and part-time hours, is there both, or what does that look like?
Yeah, so we actually offer both full-time and part-time, both temporary and permanent type of positions. So I say that because we do have some customers that are looking, our clients that are looking more for seasonal support because they've got a huge influx of calls, say right before the school year starts or right before, you know, the healthcare market and exchange opens up. And really for TTEC, we look for people that can be flexible within a start time and an end time. So what I mean by that, so say we have a part-time position available permanently that starts in 3 weeks. That part-time position has a program associated with it that has hours of operation. So say the program operates Monday through Sunday from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern time. We're not going to ask you to be available from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern 7 days a week. We're going to ask you to be available, say we'll ask you to be available maybe 11 a.m. to 8 p.m., you know, if we would hire you full-time. If we're hiring you part-time, maybe we would ask you to be available from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m., 7 days a week. And so during the interview process, we'll share those details with you, and you can make a determination if the pay rate, the training length, the start date, the job description, you know, the hours, the schedule, all of that works for you, because each of those things on their own is going to impact whether or not this is a job that you would like to take. And so on top of that, you know, not only are we going to be evaluating, do you have all the qualifications and skills that we look for, you're going to be looking at TTEC and saying, hey, you know, are you offering what I'm looking for? So that to me is the very critical component of what it takes to make a good employer-employee relationship. Not only are you a fit for us, but are we a fit for you? And you know, sometimes the answer is going to be no, and that's okay. We want to make sure that wherever you end up, it's the right fit, because at the end of the day, we don't want you to come work for us for 3 months or 2 months or a week and say, you know what, this just isn't the right fit for me. We want to make sure that we give you all the information up front that's going to make it the best decision and employment possible for you. So that was a long answer, but the short answer is yes, we offer full-time and part-time, seasonal and permanent. And it just depends on the time of year that you're looking for work and what we've got available. Because at the end of the day, we are driven by our clients' needs. And so it's got to be a match on both sides.
I think that makes total sense. And so another question kind of related to that is with the benefits. So for full-time employees and also for part-time employees, do you offer benefits? And if so, what do those look like?
We do offer benefits, full-time benefits, and some for part-time. And it depends on what position that you're hired for and the type of employee that you become with TTEC.
Okay, that makes sense. Another question was about the licensed agents. Do you guys have any idea of what goes into getting that license to become an agent? If you have any details about that, a few people are interested in knowing.
Sure. So essentially, agents, and this is the industry term, this is not necessarily a term, but a licensed healthcare agent. You've basically studied and passed a licensing exam, and you've applied with the state you reside in to sell healthcare insurance on the open market. So a lot of you guys, if you're not currently employed, you might have gone on the open market to a variety of different companies that sell healthcare insurance. That's not just healthcare too, it's automobile, life insurance, medical insurance, a whole bunch of different kinds of insurance that get sold on the open market. In order to buy that insurance from the open market, a lot of times there's so many options and so many different opportunities and savings and plans, it can get really confusing. So at the end of the day, you, somebody who's looking for healthcare insurance, probably, if it were me, I would want to be talking to somebody who knows what my options are, what the government requirements are, That's what a licensed healthcare insurance salesperson does. They know all the ins and outs. They've studied the test. They've taken the test. The state that they reside in has said, yes, you know what you're doing. You meet the requirements to sell, healthcare insurance on the open market. Here is your license. So that is what a licensed health insurance agent does. Now, how you get that license and the requirements, they do vary from state to state. So when we talk about, getting your state license, one of the clients we support, actually, if you are currently licensed in your state of residence, then we are going to, TTEC is going to work to get you licensed in all the other states that we support. So that's why we only ask that you're currently licensed in the state you reside in. We do the rest if we hire you to get you licensed at, to sell on all the other states. So that to me is a huge bonus that you get if you're already licensed that not a lot of other companies are going to offer you. So to get to that first step to be a licensed insurance agent to sell in your state, there's a couple different places you can go. One, if you reside near one of our healthcare centers, because we also have brick and mortar centers, they offer courses, it's called the College of Insurance. And so if you're interested in becoming a licensed healthcare representative, but you don't currently have a license, you're just simply interested, we can give you a list of the different sites that offer what we call the College of Insurance program. And that's actually ramping up to start soon. And the College of Insurance through TTEC, it's actually paid. So you get paid for 2 weeks. I think it's about 2 weeks. Don't quote me on that. It's a specific length of time that you spend through a self-paced course. And then at the end, we register you for the test with your state and have you take the test. And if you pass, then we license you. Now, there are some requirements as far as background, and things of that nature. I won't go into that now, but just know that those are a part of the process. So if you're interested in learning more, we can provide a little bit more detail.
Great, thank you very much. That's really helpful. Another question that's coming through has to do with the technology requirements, which I can go back to the slide on that. But if you guys could just review those a little bit more and talk about some of the reasoning behind that. Specifically, some people are wondering why Mac versus PC, why the Macs aren't allowed, and those sorts of things, the internet speed and all of that. So if you can talk about that, that would be great.
Sure, absolutely. So TTEC has a very specific program that we've developed. It's called WorkBooth, and it is currently only compatible with Windows. So that's why no Mac, no Apple. We've had people ask if they can work on their tablet or on their Kindle, and unfortunately, no. You do actually need a computer, a PC, and you do need to have Windows 10. That's what we currently support, and it's just to keep us on the cutting edge and make sure that you're getting your calls delivered in a timely manner, that your computer can actually handle our clients' requirements and make sure that you can help the customers and not get frustrated yourself or get the customers frustrated too, because we've all been on that customer service call where your system decides to not work properly. Mine just did it a couple minutes ago. So we just want to make sure that we can do everything we can to keep us on the cutting edge of technology and make sure that everything is delivered properly. That USB drive for the system access, basically what we do is we download our software onto that USB drive, and that delivers and provides, a secure work environment for you. So basically the system boots up through that USB drive, and it doesn't allow you to access anything else on your computer, which is nice because we can't access anything on it either. So you don't have to worry about someone being able to go into your computer or, have that fear, not that we ever would, but it's in the back of everybody's mind when you're logging in, to someone else's systems. So that USB drive completely circumvents your computer, and your computer boots directly from that drive. As for the internet speeds, we do require that you do have a hard line into your internet, so no Wi-Fi, and we also don't support satellite, and it's just because it doesn't provide that steady connection to our computer systems, and that's to protect our customers' information and our clients' information. So it provides that secure workspace to make sure that no one is able to get into our systems and access anything that they shouldn't be able to access. The telephone line, that's just to contact you. You're not going to be taking calls through that line. Your calls come directly through your computer through that USB, and that's why you need the USB headset. So the calls that get delivered that way, but that phone is just so that we can call you and we can get a hold of you if we need to update you on any information, if we need to give you a call and say, hey, are you interested in working any extra hours or any OT? So that's just so that we can get a hold of you. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, that's great. That's super helpful. Thank you. And then another question people were asking is, where can they actually apply? So I wanted to put this slide back up. If you're a FlexJobs member or you're interested in becoming a member, you can apply through FlexJobs, of course. And this long address on the top is the website that you can find TTEC's listings on FlexJobs. But then if you want to go directly to TTEC and apply there, you can go to ttecjobs.com. So it's pretty easy either way. But speaking of applying, I had a great question on here that's more about the application process and what you're looking for. So the question was, what would make you choose not to hire someone? But then on the flip side, I would love to hear a little bit about, aside from those kind of basic requirements and things, what does make you choose to hire someone? What really stands out both positively and negatively?
Sure. So really, at the end of the day, if you want to actually scroll back to the 8th slide, what you need to be successful, to me, that is what we look for. You know, at the end of the day, we want somebody who is going to show up to the interview and really take it seriously. I think it's very easy in this day and age of, you know, technology and, you know, so many open positions for people to apply for jobs and think, I'll show up to the interview, learn a little bit about it, and maybe I'll show up, maybe I won't, maybe I'll drop halfway, maybe I'll interrupt the interviewer. I mean, to me, at the end of the day, kind of some of the housekeeping things that you mentioned at the beginning of this webinar really do drive home for us if you're going to be a good fit for TTEC, because you have to work independently, but you have to take direction. To us, what we look for in our interview process is, do you follow directions? You know, can you follow the basic step-by-step that we ask you? Because the interview process and the application process is going to be probably some of the more simple things that we're going to ask you to do if you become employed. So that's what we look for, somebody who's, you know, excited, energetic, really wants this type of opportunity and can see themselves being here long term. And so what would make us not want to hire someone is if you think of kind of the opposite. We've had people who show up for interviews on a webcam, because we do conduct all of our interviews over a video if you have it available. We have people who show up that have family in the background, that, you know, don't, you know, have a professional work environment that they would show up for an interview with. And that's not necessarily a deal breaker, but to me, what it says is you might not be taking this as seriously as we are. Because at the end of the day, we support clients, and those clients expect you as our employee to show up every day and do the best job that you can. So anything that would indicate that maybe that's not something you're interested in, to me, that would be a reason we wouldn't hire you. Some of the other things are going to be if you don't meet our basic requirements, if your internet speed's not fast enough, if you don't have a PC that meets our requirements, if, you know, the other component, I talked about this earlier, if the jobs that we have to offer aren't a fit for you, that's, you know, we find that out pretty early on in the interview, because we don't want to waste your time. We screen for the basic requirements in the application process. And if we invite you to an interview, it's because we've seen something that makes us want to dig a little bit deeper into your employment history, your reasons for wanting to work from home. So to me, you know, if you, you know, what would get you, you know, knock you out of consideration would be if you don't meet our minimum requirements, if you know, you show something in the interview that means maybe, you know, this isn't the right job for you, you know, that's okay. Those are the kind of things that we look for.
Okay, great. I think that's very helpful and probably pretty good advice for anybody applying anywhere. I think that all really makes sense. So another question that we've seen a few times here is about those specific states, which I'll bring that slide up again, where you are hiring. So you did a really great job of explaining the reasoning behind hiring these particular states, and that it's more or less client driven, and where the clients are, they like to have people be close to them and that sort of thing. A few people are asking if they live in one of the acceptable states, but they're travelers, so they kind of go to other acceptable states to stay with family or friends for a time, and they might be traveling around. are they eligible basically? If they're going to be in an accepted state, but it might not be the same state all of the time, is that something that you would allow? Or does somebody basically, when they're working, have to be based in that one state that they were hired in originally?
So that is a good question, and we've had that asked several times, and the answer is unfortunately no. So if you're hired into one location, we do ask that you remain in that location unless you're moving for a long period of time. So we've had a situation where someone was hired in Texas and their parents lived, say, Montana, and they needed to go take care of them for 6-8 months. So they talked to their supervisor and they talked to the human capital department, and they transitioned to Montana. When that was taken care of, they moved back to Texas. But as for traveling around, if you have a spouse that travels Texas, Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, Nebraska, a different place every week, unfortunately, we don't support that, just because it's very easy to end up in Colorado one day, and we don't currently employ at-home agents in Colorado, so that's not acceptable. So what we do from a technology perspective is we do audits on people's IP addresses and make sure that their IP address is static and it remains the same in the location where they said they were going to work. And that includes staying in the country as well. So if you're hired in Missouri and for some reason you have to go to Jamaica for 6 months, first of all, I'm really jealous. And second of all, you wouldn't be able to take your work with you because we don't currently employ people in Jamaica. So that goes back to the legality issues that we could get in trouble with if we do have people that are supporting our clients from different countries and different locations where we don't have the license to work.
Okay, that makes total sense. Yep. And then there was a follow-up question related to this. Let me see if I can find it. Just scrolled right out of my vision. Okay, well, I'll keep scrolling while I ask you another question and you guys can answer that one. So this other question has to do with the going back to the training period. Is that paid? We just want to clarify that.
Yep, training is 100% paid.
Okay.
And so to kind of frame that up too, we've got about 3 days of TTEC specific training where we talk a little bit more about our values, talk about our policies and procedures, show you how to log on every day. And then we jump into that product training is what we call it, or the client specific training, in which Whitney mentioned earlier, vary in length depending on the type of program.
Okay, perfect. And that gave me enough time to remember what the other question was. It wasn't about traveling around, but it was about kind of the day-to-day hourly schedule and that sort of thing. So you mentioned that somebody might be working a shift if they're part-time or full-time, but it would be sort of a set number of hours each day. If someone has, a child who's getting off the school bus in the middle of that shift and they just need to be met or something like that, if there's like kind of a consistent thing that would happen that's a short-term, quick thing each day, are there breaks within that time period? Is that something they could kind of schedule around? Or how would that work? Basically, I think it's the larger question is general work-life balance, time off, all of that sort of stuff, if you guys want to cover a little bit of each.
Yeah, so for situations like that, so to answer your question first, yeah, we do offer breaks. You're not going to be working an 8-hour shift chained to your desk and you can't move. There are certain breaks, but they are scheduled and it's based off of call volume. So that's depending upon the delivery that the client gives to us of their customers calling in and us having to take care of those customers. So if your break happens to coincide with your child getting off the school bus, that's great, but it's not something that we would necessarily schedule you around. So your break isn't going to be exactly the same every single day. It's not something that you could necessarily depend on. If you did have a work schedule around that time frame, if you say your child got off the bus at 3 and you worked until 2:45, then you would have that situation. But as in for the middle of your work shift, more than likely, no.
Yep, that makes perfect sense. Very clear.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm going to talk a little bit about the work-life balance because at the end of the day, what Whitney said, you might not seem like you have work-life balance. Take that time during your shift to go do what you need to do. But at the end of the day, the flexibility that working at home remotely offers, you may have to make sacrifices now or for 6 months or a year to, take a little, to get promoted within the company And honestly, not everyone will get promoted, right? But there is an opportunity to change to different programs and to learn new skills and to really grow your career in other ways. It's not just necessarily a manager type of role. At the end of the day, I think working remotely provides more flexibility and work-life balance than it does, regardless of what you're doing, right? Whether it's call center, whether it's, you know, something completely different than customer service. So I don't want anyone thinking, oh, well, they don't offer, you know, any type of flexibility. We do offer flexibility, but it, like Whitney said, it's based on call volume, and your work-life balance is going to be, you know, drastically improved from, you know, having to go into an office every day, regardless of the type of role that you have.
Yes, absolutely. I can second that and third that and fourth that for sure. Even just the simple being able to work from home makes a huge difference. Okay, so this question is came up from a number of people just wondering about the types of clients that you all work with and people, or the clients that people would be supporting. Can you give any hints or general characteristics of the types of clients, maybe the industries that they're in or the type of work that they do?
Yeah, absolutely. So it varies. So we talked about healthcare. So obviously we are in the healthcare industry, helping with the open enrollment period. That's why we're ramping up soon. That's coming up again, even though it feels like it just passed. Retail, education. We have financial institutions that we also support. So it really does vary just depending upon, you know, what we're, like Stacey said before, what we're currently hiring for, but we do have a multitude of different types of clients that we support.
All right, perfect. Thank you. And then we also had one more question about how to apply. So I just wanted to put that slide back up there. I know some people are probably taking notes while you guys are talking and may have missed this one before. But just so everyone's clear, if you are a FlexJobs member, you can go to FlexJobs to apply, or if you're interested in becoming a member, of course. And then if you're not a FlexJobs member, you can go straight to ttecjobs.com to apply to their jobs there. All right, so it looks like we do have a few more questions coming in. Let's see, we've covered some of these location ones. The hiring process time-wise, from the time that somebody submits an application, how much time do things take? You know, I'm sure it varies based on the availability of the people doing the hiring and all of that, but in general, how long does it take to respond or to potentially get offered an interview? Do you guys offer any details about that sort of thing?
Yeah, so honestly, we conduct interviews, you know, pretty much daily throughout the week. If you've applied and haven't heard anything back, I would check your email and your spam, because there are a lot of automatic correspondence that comes from our applicant tracking system or the system in which you submitted your application. And there could be a couple of reasons you haven't heard from us. One, you didn't actually finish your application. And that is where I think a lot of people get confused. If you apply on a mobile device, we ask you during the application to scan your PC that you plan to use for work. And if you're on your phone, you can't complete the scan. So you have to go home, get on your computer, and, you know, get back to the application. And that can sometimes take a while, and it can be confusing. We're actually working on improving that process right now because it can be confusing. But I would recommend checking your email. And if you still aren't sure, we offer a live chat feature on our website. So just go to ttecjobs.com. There should be a live chat option available to you to ask questions from our live chat team that can help look up your application and see what your status might be. So from a time to apply versus interview, I would say about a week to 2 weeks, because we do have a lot of applicants and we want to make sure that those who applied maybe before you guys were given the opportunity to interview first. So it's kind of on a first come, first serve, you know, as far as applications and interviews. And then the other component, you might not, if you finished your application, you know, maybe you don't live in a state we hire. I thought I saw a question earlier about, you know, if we can, as long as you're in one of our 31 states, does it really matter where I live? Well, yes. There's a couple of reasons for that. One, state taxes. You still have to pay them, and so do we. So we need to know where you live. And then the other thing too, Whitney mentioned, as far as running those scans to match up, you know, are you working out of the same location that you told us you were when you originally hired? And we run those audits daily, weekly, monthly as well. So yeah.
All right, excellent. And thank you guys so much. I know I'm just throwing a lot of questions at you, and these are great. You guys have all the answers. Another question that has come up a few times is the difference between a licensed agent and one of the sales roles that was mentioned before. Are licensed agents selling insurance policies and that sort of thing? And if so, what does a general sales role look like? What's the difference between those two?
I'm sorry, I don't know if I understand the question. Can you repeat the question?
Sure. What is the difference between the licensed agent roles and the sales roles that were mentioned?
Oh, okay. That does make sense. I gotcha. I'm with you.
No,
Sorry.
I was long-winded for a second, so they're a little clearer.
So our sales roles that we currently have available do not require a license to sell healthcare. So they're not necessarily selling health insurance plans. They're selling different programs for a specific client. So it's different than the licensed healthcare insurance agent. So licensed healthcare, like Stacey mentioned, you do have to have that specific healthcare insurance license to sell healthcare insurance. So that's very specific. The other sales opportunities that we have are more specific to other clients and don't require that healthcare insurance license. Does that make a little bit more sense?
Yep, I think so. Absolutely. And then another question we have is, do you require any work from home experience? Does somebody have to have worked from home before in order to qualify for any of these jobs?
No, we don't require any current or previous remote work or work from home experience. I mean, it's helpful, but it's not required because honestly, if you've worked from home before, you kind of know what you're getting into. And there are going to be sometimes people who show up and they say, oh, I think working from home is going to be great for me. But it's really an adjustment. You guys have to understand too that, not seeing someone face to face every day can take a toll. I actually am the type of person who does need some face to face interaction. So before I start work every day, I go to the gym and I, spend about 15 minutes or so catching up with, some friends that I have there before I sit down and work for the day, because I know I'm not going to have much interaction until my work shift is over. So even though I'm talking to you guys, I talk to my team every day. There really is, so it's not required, but it is maybe different than you think, and it might require an adjustment, and it might not be.
Yep, absolutely. That's a really good point. And it's good to know those ways to get that people interaction too in your day. So let's see. Questions about the days of the week. So I know you had mentioned in one of your examples a 7-day-a-week schedule. Is that pretty standard to have people working 7 days? Are there 5-day shifts? People are just curious if there's different types of day configurations that they could work.
Yep, absolutely. So typically all of our shifts are 5 days a week, but we ask that you have availability 7 days a week just because our shifts work around our call delivery. So when we talk to you about the specific position that we're interested in offering you, we'll give you what we call basically a hiring band. So we'll say that we need you to be available from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern time, Monday through Sunday. So that's not what you're going to be scheduled. That's just what we need you to be available for. And then our team that manages our call delivery and our call volume from our clients is going to assign you a specific shift within that band, and obviously within the 7 days of the week. So our shifts are 5 days a week, but we don't guarantee any specific days off unless by some chance we have a client that doesn't work weekends, then you would be Monday through Friday. But typically, your shift would include at least one weekend day, either Saturday or Sunday, depending upon that client. And then your shift would fall within that time frame during those 5 days that you're scheduled.
All right, excellent. Thank you. And a question about the job interviews. How are they conducted? I think you had mentioned that you do use webcams if someone has one, but it doesn't sound like it's required. So how are job interviews conducted? And are there any questions or things that people should know ahead of time to kind of prepare for to be, to present their best selves during the job interview?
Yeah, so we conduct all of our interviews over Zoom. So just like this environment you guys are in today, a webcam is not required, but we recommend and we ask if you have one that you have your camera on so that we can kind of interact with you on a more personalized basis.
The really cool part too about that is you can actually log into Zoom from your smartphone or your tablet. So you can use your camera that's integrated with those devices as well.
Oh, good tip. That's right. Yeah, you don't necessarily have to be at your PC for that one thing because you have cameras elsewhere. All right. And then as far as the interviews go, typically how long are those? Are they pretty quick? Are they pretty lengthy? Any other details you can provide about the interview process? A few people have asked.
Sure. So the interview process itself is about an hour and a half. What we ask that you prepare is just, honestly, there's not really a lot of preparation. It's more come to the table with your experience and why you want to work from home. To me, those are answers that you should have already in the forefront of your mind when you're searching for a new opportunity is why this position is a good fit for you, why, this, type of environment could be good for you, why you want to try it out. If you have a little bit of hesitation in speaking in a group setting, maybe I would practice with a friend or family and, practice what you would say, just having a conversation with a group of people, because it is a group interview and our recruiter facilitates. And yeah, that's what I would recommend.
All right, awesome. Thank you. Good insights there. I also have a question that's coming from a number of people. If they have been out of the workforce to care for children or a loved one, or for any particular reason for a number of years, but they're looking to get back into the workforce, is this a deterrent to applying for these types of jobs, or would you encourage these people to apply?
Come on in. If you've got the previous experience and you want to jump back in, come on in, feet first. We'll catch you. We definitely want to encourage people to get back into the workforce. That's one of the benefits about remote work. It's nice to be able to offer employment to people who maybe can't get out of the house. Maybe you've been out of the employment industry because you can't get to a brick and mortar facility, or there's something that's been holding you back. So it's really great for us to be able to reach out to people that have the skills and maybe just not the ability to make it into an actual physical location. So come on down.
Awesome. I love that. All right. And it looks like we're coming to the top of the hour here. So I just wanted to give you guys a chance to wrap up and say anything else that you would like to say to the group, or and otherwise we can wrap it up.
Sure. So I saw a lot of questions about specifics of technical requirements. And if you go to our website and you go through the application process, we give you the URL that has all the requirements. So I would encourage you guys, if you didn't get your question answered today, go apply or visit TTECjobs.com. It's got a ton of information. And I'm so excited you guys had so many questions about TTEC and working from home, because every single one of the questions I saw were very, very good. Very, very insightful, very, great questions to ask to find out if this is an opportunity for you. I would just, like I said, encourage you guys, if it even remotely sounds like something you'd be interested in or be a fit for you, please apply. We are starting to begin the biggest hiring ramp of our season. I know it's only end of March, beginning of April, and a lot of remote employers don't start hiring until August, September, but that's not the case with us. We're really excited. We would love for you guys to apply. And if you've got more questions we didn't answer, please visit TTECjobs.com. It's going to have a whole bunch of information for you.
Awesome. Well, thank you both. Oh, and Whitney, go ahead if there's anything else.
I just wanted to say thank you. Thanks for coming and listening to us talk about something that both Stacy and I are extremely passionate about. We really look forward to hearing from you, to getting you to be a member of our team. So again, thank you so much for your time and for all of your questions. It was really great being able to talk to you guys.
Awesome. Well, thank you both on behalf of the folks here in the audience. I think it's always so valuable to be able to hear directly from an employer and get so many good details and little tidbits that you otherwise might never know before you apply for the job. So thank you everybody for coming today. Thank you to Stacy and Whitney from TTEC for spending so much time and answering so many questions. And just as a reminder, right after this webinar, there will be a survey that pops up. It's super quick, and if you could take it, that would be a huge help to us. We would really appreciate it. And then watch your email tomorrow for a recording of the webinar in case you wanted to review anything. And if you are interested in FlexJobs and you're not yet a member, you can use the code webinar, very creative that we are, to sign up for up to 30% off of the normal subscription rates. But you can find that information at flexjobs.com. And then let me put up TTEC's website for jobs, ttecjobs.com. Again, thank you, Stacy and Whitney, and thank you everybody for coming. Have a great rest of the day.